Hey everybody, CJ Maurer here with Complete Payroll, back for another episode of PeopleWork, where we interview various professionals within the human capital management industry. Basically, if your job involves helping businesses run their business, manage their people, take care of their people, we want to be talking to you. Today, we are coming to you from the beautiful Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada for the IPPA 2020 conference, IPPA being the Independent Payroll Providers Association. This is an event that we come to every year, and it's always really great because there's a whole bunch of other payroll companies and a lot of other partners and businesses that support the payroll industry, and all of those whose line of work is helping you pay your people and take care of your people. So today I'm super excited to be joined by Taylor TenBrook from Fintwist. Fintwist is based out of Tennessee, but you're in Atlanta.
That's right.
Right, okay, cool. So we kind of got connected a little bit leading up to this. It's been really fun getting to know you. Fintwist provides a payroll debit card solution to give employers the options to pay their people with a payroll debit card. And quite frankly, I don't think that like a lot of people just know about that as an option or even how it works. So before we kind of dive into some of the other topics, why don't you just give everybody a quick update of what a payroll debit card solution is and how it works?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. So a payroll debit card operates exactly like a debit card does for employees who are traditionally banked. And so employees who either don't have a bank account or choose to use a pay card as a device to budget or meet their financial goals simply use it just like a debit card. So the employers will load it with their wages, and then the employees can either withdraw it, use it to make purchases in store or online, or use it through the mobile app.
Oh, sure, yeah. All right, cool. So we were actually at a happy hour last night, which was really fun. And of course, at a conference like this, we're talking about labor law regulations. There has been some news that kind of came out of the Department of Labor in New York State that impact payroll debit cards and employers that may use them. So why don't you let us know, update everybody what happened and what they may need to consider about the payroll debit card landscape moving forward.
Absolutely. All right. Well, first and foremost, this is a tenuous time to be an employer because the landscape is constantly changing. And it's so easy for employers to fall out of compliance. And so as regulations change and we stay on top of these, we've noticed 5 themes emerge. And the first of these themes is employees must have access to their money that's free. So they need to be able to use their card, withdraw their wages at an ATM or at a bank without paying a fee for that. Mm-hmm. The second one is fees. So moving right into that, they have to be able to use their card at a point of sale, online, or anywhere else that accepts, with the Fintwist card, MasterCard logo, without incurring a fee for using the card at that point. The third theme that we see is maintaining a debit stance. So maintaining a debit stance essentially means that you can use the card like a debit card and you don't have the ability to overdraft or borrow against future wages. So it is truly access to your exact wages. The fourth theme that we see is communication. In New York, this is particularly interesting because there's so many levels of communication that the employers require to perform. And the first of which is the pay card itself. The employee has to consent to being paid by a pay card. And once they offer written consent, they have a 7-day waiting period in which they can't be paid on that pay card. So this presents several challenges to the employer, especially if automation is important to the employer and they have a payroll system where the employee goes in, enters their pay card information, and then they have to, essentially do a one-off payroll where they don't pay them on that and they pay them in either by check or their other method. Mm-hmm. So it creates a lot of back office issues for mm-hmm. employers. Also, employees have to understand the options for receiving their wages. So you can't say we're only going to pay you on a debit card. They have to know all the options. And then the employer also, and this is particularly interesting, also has to tell them where they can get their wages. So they have to give them a list. The employer has to give the employees a list of ATMs or banks where they can withdraw their wages for free that's in close proximity to where they work or their home. And so that's why it's important to partner with a pay card company that has a mobile app that can identify ATMs based on distance.
Got it.
Absolutely.
And so that's pretty much, just to clarify, that's pretty much the big news out of New York, where the employee has to provide written consent. There's a 7-day waiting period, and then it's like the places where you can withdraw money. Is there any part of what was recently upheld in New York that I'm missing there, or is that pretty much covered?
There's so many regulations in New York, and New York is one of 11 states that has gone above and beyond the federal regulation. So there's a lot of points that I have not reviewed in that small segment of time. But
all the more reason to get in touch with one of us later.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Speak
Fintwist
with
or
an
Complete
expert.
Payroll. Yeah,
Speak
absolutely.
with an expert, especially with the fifth theme being the voluntary opt-in and the requirement to keep that on record for, I believe, 6 or 7 years after the employee receives their last paycheck from you. So there's so many rules that you have to abide by, and it's a hard time for employers right now.
So with that being said, like, what should employers do, like, when they're considering pay card regulations or engaging a pay card vendor?
Absolutely. So they need to do their research first and foremost, and they need to understand that they're finding a solution for their employees that's essentially a free benefit, and so they have to give it careful consideration. And my recommendation, I can't make recommendations, sorry. But when they consider who to work with, the key is to offer not only the pay card but also other tools that are associated with traditional banks. So budgeting tools in a mobile app, the ability to check their pay stubs on an app. Or, that's not what I meant. The ability to check their balance on the app, and use it how you would a traditional bank, but without all the fees.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is there a specific part of the New York State DOL regulations or other regulations that could threaten to disrupt the adoption of pay cards?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the 7-day waiting period, that's somewhat of a cooling off period, could be a challenge because you're asking a payroll administrator to create an additional process to what they're already familiar with their payroll processing. So you've added more work, and in that time period, obviously the employee knows that they want to use the pay card, but there's so many opportunities for manual error to happen and to fall through the cracks of the payroll department if they're not on top of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people want to get paid, right?
Yeah,
and nobody knows that more than a payroll administrator.
Nobody knows that more than a payroll administrator, and employees too.
Right.
And they, there's so many options right now. They want to be paid how they want to be paid, and by offering a free benefit to your employees to get paid another way is really a way to stay more competitive too. So it's a win-win.
So we've talked a lot about essentially what pay cards are. We've talked about regulations specifically in New York. We have not talked about Fintwist really.
Okay.
So tell us about where does Fintwist fit into all of this?
All right, well, so obviously we offer a digital payment solution, and we have our Fintwist card. And so we didn't invent, but we introduced the first pay card to the market almost 30 years ago. And so we also have to, first we're regulated as a bank by the Bank Secrecy Act and the Patriot Act, so we operate at a higher standard than most other players out there. In addition, we are a true pay card provider. We're not going to try to sell our clients' card holders mortgages or additional banking services. So we focus on pay cards, and we do it very well.
If somebody was interested and wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. Send me an email or contact your friends at Complete Payroll, and we'll connect, and depending upon what you'd like to use the card for, we can work together to figure out a solution that works.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know especially towards the end of this conference, everyone's busy. People are starting to get flights out. Really appreciate you making some time for us. Really enjoyed this conversation. If anybody here watching has any questions for Taylor at Fintwist or Complete Payroll, if you would like to suggest a topic for a future PeopleWork episode, or if you would like to be considered to be a guest for an upcoming episode, please send an email to peoplework@completepayroll.com. We look forward to connecting with you. Thanks.